I, maybe like you, have recently been playing a lot of the video game Hades. It's another fantastic game made by the brilliant people over at Supergiant Games, and it just adds to their marvellous collection of games. When playing the game, you'll notice that the graphics are fantastic and all the characters are quite hot. But the question is, who's the hottest? So what's the best way of figuring this out? Whiteboard. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to judge them all on this hotness scale. You know when you rate someone out of 10? That's not what this is. I know it's a 0 to 10, but because there's 31 people, we'll have one person in 0 and 3 people in all the other categories. That's what I'm going for. It also might allow to have some level of objectivity because, I mean, subjectively I'm going to put some things higher up, and if I put them all in the same sort of category, that all puts them roughly in the right place. So anyway, let's get started. Cerberus. Right, Cerberus is a dog. That's going to be in a 0 because dogs aren't hot. That's not what dogs are for. No. It's Boulder. I mean, it's a rock. So that's going to be in the 1 category. Skelly Man. Skelly. He's also, he's a dead body. Honestly, there's going to be a couple dead bodies down here. Charon's also in this section. I think that also includes Tisiphone. So that's where that goes. Next we kind of go for the animal sort of creatures. And look, I like Juicer. But Juicer isn't particularly one you'd say is hot. She's a head with snakes. She's in 2. She's in the 2 squadron. Mysterious is also in 3 because it's also, I mean, great bod, but unfortunately it's got a head of a bull. Which, I mean, you might be into. I'm not. So the age doesn't help. Sorry. Orpheus next. He's kind of a bit scraggly, isn't he? Hades. I mean, he's got a lot of big daddy energy, but he's just sort of like a lot of fluff, a lot of hair. He goes in the 3 category. You see how it's all working out? Next it's Chaos. Oh yeah, Dolly. If you look at the bottom of his thing, he's got lots of skulls and stuff. He goes down here. Nice face, but the rest of it's a bit off. Sisyphus. He's alright, but as a standard looking bloke, in this game, puts him there. Next it's Eurydice. She's pretty attractive, but unfortunately, she's kind of half tree. She's going in the 5 section, which isn't bad. 5 is not bad. Athena. And then Nyx. She's in the 5 section. Hermes next. Hermes is starting to get the top half now. These guys are like the ones who are to be looking at. He's probably quite fit. I mean, he runs around a lot, so there we go. Along similar lines, it's old Artemis, the last of the 6s. Big Daddy Zeus. He's a very big daddy. Like that's got to be some people's kinks. He's pretty high, and that's where that goes. It's starting to get to the hot category. Like I put these guys in red because these guys are like the Thanatos. Now, some people might say I'm putting him a bit low down. He's very much like you have to be into that. He's kind of e-boy. I don't know. He is attractive. Polarizing is probably the best way of putting it. So he's in the 7 category. Uncle Poseidon. He's got a bit of dad energy as well in it. Alecto's attractive, but she has this like crazy energy to her, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but she's attractive, so she has to go in the 8 section. Patroclus. That one. He's attractive. Goes in the 8s. And then we have Theseus. He kind of knows that he's hot. He's in the 8s. We're in the top section now. We're in the real spicy meat. We're in the real spicy section. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You would definitely be swiping right on Tinder. Yep. Achilles. Achilles is in the 9s. He's damn fine. That's what he is. He's damn fine. You could argue that he could be in the 10s. It's difficult to pick between them, but that's what I'm charging myself with doing. Next, it's Megara. She's hot, so she goes also in the 8s. Ares. Oh, look at that jawline. Oh, he's real hot. I didn't know whether I'm going to put him in the 10s or the 9s, and you could definitely argue for him to be in the 10s. You probably have worked out who are put in the 10 category, because there's only 3 left. We have the main man himself, Zagreus. This is obviously the player character. He's an attractive dude, and also he's got funky, cool, multicolored eyes. Also in the 10s, we've got this one. You shouldn't be surprised with. Like they designed her to look hot because that's kind of her whole deal. She's probably going to be in the 10s, like she was always probably going to be in the 10s. And also, my personal rank number 1, Dionysus. He's also in the 10s. I mean, look at him. He's damn fine. He's up here. And there we have it. So yeah, that's my ranking. It's done. It's done. It's all complete. There's nothing more to do. That's ranked. Except no, it's not. And you know why? Because I don't want him being that high up. If you've played the game, or if you played the game, you know that this guy, he's a massive twat. All these people who are much better, and I think are much more hot, as opposed to everything but looks, should be higher than him. So maybe I should consider their personalities too. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at their personalities and rank them from that next. So remember this. I'll record this. And then we'll look at the other one. So now we've wiped the board. And we're looking at personality. Just see, it says, I don't know if you can read that, but it says personality. Let's start off by the reason why I did this with Theseus. This boy, the dickhead. He's the 1 and 0. And do you know what? That gives me a lot of pleasure just putting him down there, because he's a prick. He's really cocky and arrogant, and no matter what you say to him, he's always got something to say something back and be a dickhead and be, I'm the greatest. I just don't like him, okay? Tiffany, she's in the 1 section. All she says is murder. It's quite accusatory, actually. She's down there. Unfortunately she's in the 1s. A literal boulder is better than Theseus. Chaos is next, and the reason being, he gets to a point where he's suddenly just like, no, you only talk when I let you talk, which is really controlling. Hades is next. Patroclus, he's kind of not really fun to be around. Orpheus is next just because he's so whiny. He's just the whiniest boy. Hypnos is next because he spends most of his time asleep. Electo, she's got a bit of a crazy personality and a little bit reactive. He is someone who has a shop, and that's kind of it. But he's like quite good with it, and he looks after his shop. So that's fine. He's a top 1 of 3. Maybe should be higher, and maybe Patroclus won't be higher. You can argue with me, but whatever. Now we start with the gods. When you play through the game, you get to situations where you have to choose one of the gods, and if you pick one of them, the other god gets really mad at you and then starts attacking you and gets quite aggressive, which kind of is a bit controlling. It's concerning. At the bottom is Demeter, because Demeter is just quite cold. Ha! Did you get it? Then Ares, kind of obsessed with battling and war, which is not a great thing, I would say. War is bad. Zeus next, a bit too high and mighty. Aphrodite. Poseidon, I think that they kind of fit there, being in the middle. And same with Artemis, middle. Athena, she's in the 6s. That's fine. That's one. She's one of the better gods. Now Dionysus is one of the higher gods, simply because he's quite fun to chat to. So he's pretty cool. Now Hermes, even though he can be a bit annoying at times, he's a god he's not particularly reactive, which puts him automatically above the others, I guess. Now we're getting onto the good personality, the people who are sort of like pretty good. You might get annoyed with me because Juicer, she's a 7. I do like Juicer. You could argue she should be higher, but she has this aspect of maybe being like an obsessed fan, or is a little bit crazy. I'm not entirely sure if that's the way she is, or whether she just fancies you. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. So she's in the 7. Thanatos, he's here because even though he can be a little bit mopey, he's very protective of his mother, which is good, and just a decent chap. He's there. Zagreus, he's in the 7, so it makes him quite good, but he's a bit cocky. That can be attractive. He's also, these ones are all pretty good. We're getting into the high levels. Eurydice is just lovely. Cooks for you. She's nice. She's lovely. She's lovely. She's just a nice. She seems to be just a nice person. Oh, nice god, sorry. Skelly's next, and that's simply because he's just fun to be around. Seems like a good old cheeky chappy. Meg. She's got very strict morals, which are good ones, and she's also supportive of her house. Sisyphus, he's just always got a kind face and heart. So that's why he's up in the 9s. He's pretty high. He deserves to be up there. Nyx is also probably the best of the 9s, and maybe should be in the 10s. Well, she acts as Zagreus' mum, even though that wasn't required for her. She's supportive of both her other sons. She's a good person. Top 3. Achilles. Was that really much of a surprise? He's a decent guy. Asterius. When you've had conversations with this dude, he seems like an actual really decent chap. He's very loyal, and he's very supportive even if the person who he is supportive to is a dickhead. So he's intense. Dogs are great. You can't fault a dog's personality. The dogs are just great. So there we have it. Personality. Done. And now we can figure out who is the best using what they look like and what the personality is like. And we can figure out who is the best. Except we can't. When I was doing this, I realised there were more factors which I need to take into play, because just looking good and being nice is not the only thing you need. You need to maybe not have a shitty history, and maybe you need to act well in the moment. And also, when you're looking at someone who you're thinking is hot, you think of where they might go, or you might think of their future with them. So we basically have to look at the past, the present, and the future of all the characters, which is more work. There's more to do. I've lost the microphone because it died on me halfway through that last one, but I've also gone and done a bit of research. This time I'm going to start at the top. Because it gets interesting. He's considered a Greek hero. He created lots of poetry, and he was a musician and gifted the world medicine. He's pretty good in Greek mythology. Hypnos, all he's really well known for is putting things to sleep, and supportive of his brother, his twin brother, which is Thanatos, who we'll get to later. Cerberus. Cerberus is a good guard dog. Yes, maybe a bit scary in Greek mythology and whatever, and he makes sure that people don't come in and out of the underworld. That's kind of it. Chaos supposedly created the universe, so that's in the 9s, because creating the universe is a good thing. Eurydice, she's only really well known from like the tale with Orpheus, where he has to go get her from the underworld. Thanatos, he's the god of death in a weird way, because there's loads of other gods of death. Thanatos is sort of like the death without a reason. Lots of people fear him and hate him, but he's not actually a bad dude. I mean, he looks after the dead, so. The next 3 are the Fury sisters. They're like jail wardens. All the people who've done wrong in their life, they smack morals into them. They all have different things which they're obsessed about. They're in the 8s. Nyx. Lots of gods are scared of her, but that's because she's kind of mysterious. Mysterious, that's it. That's all you've really got. Skelly, he looks like this because he's someone who wasn't buried properly, and you need to be buried properly by putting a coin in your mouth. But he seems to have a coin in the mouth, so I don't know. He's also a mystery, so he goes with mystery number 1. Medusa's next. You've probably heard of Medusa. She's a famous gorgon who turned people to stone. But the reason being, Athena got really mad one time because of something which Poseidon did and was not her fault. But she does also slightly kill people, but that's not her fault, so I'm going to put a 7. Patroclus is Achilles' right-hand man. He basically got in his armour to pretend to be Achilles to fight in his stead so that their troops didn't suffer and die. So that's a pretty good thing. We'll get to Achilles later, but like if he's Achilles' right-hand man, that kind of puts him down here. Asterius is similar to Juicer, really. This is the Minotaur, which I assume is from the Theseus tale. The king did something wrong, so one of the gods made his wife fall in love with a bull, and when she gave birth, they had a Minotaur in their hands. He was put in a labyrinth, and all he was given to eat were people. He's in the 6s. Zagreus is next. Pretty high up in the underworld, but the underworld's not as bad as you would think. It's not the same as hell. He's not mentioned much, but that puts him in the 6 because he hasn't done that many bad things. This is a boulder, and the boulder is above halfway, which means most people are a bit of a dickhead. You probably noticed there's no Olympians up here, and that's for good reason, because the Olympian gods are not very nice. And Hermes is the top one because yes, he's a trickster, but he didn't actually do anything that bad, and the things which he did which were a little bit iffy, he kind of made up for, so he's here. Persephone is most well known for what happens between her and Hades, and there's not really much else apart from that every now and then she gets a little bit mad at people. She sort of gets a bit jealous at times, and that's kind of a theme which we'll see in a lot of the gods, but she's one of the better ones. Theseus. For all the good he did abduct people to be his wife. Demeter, again, as I said, the Olympians did have a bit of a habit of holding grudges and being revengey. Demeter, there's a lot less bad of her. There is a cult about her, but that's about it. Hades. I mean, he's not great. But, I mean, he was god of the underworld, but he wasn't like the devil. He's more like, keeps track of the books, which is kind of why he's like that in the game. Ares didn't actually take that much part in a lot of Greek mythology. He's only really bigged up in modern times. He's kind of a small figure. He's there. Charon's this low because he's a bad example of capitalism. He will take you to the underworld after you've died. However, he'll only take you there if you can pay him. And if you don't pay him, you have to walk for 100 years on the shores of a nearby river. That's fun. He's bad. He's not great. Athena, like most of the other Olympians, she likes to take revenge on people. She turned Medusa into the snaky thing. Bad. Achilles, he's a great hero of the Trojan War. However, he did some bad things to a girl who was growing up with him, essentially. He's also a bit angry and he doesn't have a good temper. Different to how he's like in the game. You're in the 2s. You're here. Aphrodite, yeah, she's again Olympian gods, revenge, same as the other Olympian gods. So Artemis, when she undergoes her revenge, she's extreme with it. Poseidon, yeah, like I keep on talking about what happened with Medusa. He sort of had his way with her without her consent. That's not uncommon in Greek mythology, and this happens. This is more common on this board, especially around this sort of area. Sisyphus. Unlike what he's like in the game, he was a bastard in real life. Even the gods were like, "You're a dick," and they tried to torture him, and he was having none of it. He was very smart, and he managed to work his way out and everything like that. Like this time he did some to Thanatos. He was a bit of a dick. If anyone knows anything about Greek mythology, you're probably aware of who's going to be at the bottom. Zeus. He just has his way with lots of people without really them choosing, like including family. Really bad dude. And that's the past. That's the past. Next we have the present, and what we're going to do for the present is we're going to judge them how they're like in the game. However, because that's how they're talking towards Zagreus, who is not you in this situation, who is you, but not whatever. I'm going to halve the points, and also it's quite similar to personality. The next one is only going to be out of 5. Next we're on to the present. I think it's worth saying this is just what they do for you in game. That's what this one is. Okay, good. We good. Lovely. First, I'm going from top to bottom again, because why not? Achilles, he trains you as a kid and makes you the warrior which you are that day. And he also does other useful stuff later in the game, so he's up in the 5s. He's a very useful one. Nyx. That mirror wall where you upgrade all your stuff, that's from Nyx. Also mothers you. Eurydice, visiting Eurydice is so useful. She upgrades all your powers and everything like that. It's good. Patroclus, oh, he can come in real handy. He can save your ass if he refills your death defiances. Oh, so useful. He gives you either money, darkness, or health. That's good. Whenever I see a Chaos Door, I always go for it because the benefits he gives you are so good. Even if you do have to do like a certain trial, it's worth it almost every single time. If you've collected enough money, he can give you multiple boons, multiple stuff. Also, he gives you the pools which can replenish your death events if you give him money. Just everything shop related he does, and he deserves to be up there. Thanatos helps you in fights. Kind of. He is a kill stealing, but he's pretty good. I put Hermes as the top Olympian because his benefits are good no matter who you are. Like, no matter what sort of run you're doing, he's always the one you want to see. I personally really like Athena's one because I really like deflecting stuff. All of Dionysus' benefits are really good, so he's up here. Similar story to Poseidon with Dionysus. All of his things are pretty good. Zeus is next because his ones are really good. However, they're only really good against multiple people when you're trying to fight lots of people. His call is my favourite one. His call is so powerful, I love it, but he's not as high as these three. Ares and his Doom stuff could be better, but it's good. He's there. A lot of Artemis's ones I haven't really found that useful. When you have the firing an attack after the attack, that is the best thing, one of the best things in the game. But a lot of other things are kind of... Her cold stuff only slows people down by 40% and doesn't really inflict that much damage. She's okay, but she's not my favourite. Aphrodite is my least favourite choice of the gods. When you make someone weak, it's fine, but it's my least favourite. Scare is a chip off the old block, and he's a training dummy. That's it. He's a training dummy. He gives you tutorials, so that's also good. Persephone is still a bit useful. She kind of gives you exposition and tells you more about the story, but like she doesn't really help that much. Even though he does let you pass without a fight, he does make you go through all that stuff with the rats. They're so annoying getting poisoned. It's the most frustrating thing. But I mean, he's meant to guard, and he does forego his duties just for you. So he's there. Zag's in the middle. I mean, you are Zagreus. Orpheus doesn't really help. He just turns up. Juicer is a cleaner, but you do a lot of the cleaning yourself. Doesn't seem like she's doing that much. She's also just kind of there. Hypnos is also someone who's just kind of there. He tells you how you died, but you know how you died because you were there. He's in the he's just there category. Ace of Boulder doesn't really do much. Hades is the big bad boss of the game. He's annoying and he's against you in the game, so he's down here. Mega's the first of the Fury Sisters. The other Fury Sisters are coming up next. She's the easiest boss to beat. She also does give you stuff. These two ones are basically on the same level. Tisiphone and Alecto, they're here. Just there. The last two are these two. But which one's worse? I have to say the worst one is Asterius because he fights you twice quite regularly. So Theseus is in the 0.5 and Asterius is in the 0. There we go. That's the present done. That's the present. There we go. Next we have the future. What they could give you in the future. Right, so this is the final section. Basically, when you think about you're wanting to be with someone, you might think of if they have any future, if there's any future with you. So that's important. It is important. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at the future. This doesn't necessarily take anything of the past. It just says what can I look forward to potentially. A lot of the things in this, they're quite good. It's quite positive. I'm starting from the bottom this time, just so. Yeah, Boulder at the bottom. I mean, you've been used as a torture device. That's kind of his whole deal, and that's not positive. I know I said positive, but that's not positive. Some of them aren't positive. You're rock, torture rock. Sisyphus is next because he's just being tortured. Chaos. Like, I don't really know, but you're in this sort of weird void area. I don't know what that's good for. Who knows? And I don't know. You might be a ruler of it. She's in the House of Hades, which is good. I don't know, the mystery, like Chaos, puts her low. Tisiphone, she's got a good gig. It might be a bit of an iffy gig, but it's morally okay. Skelly, he's almost in the House of Hades, which is like the best place to be in the underworld. Juicer, as a partnership, you'd want it to be 50-50. She probably wouldn't want to be looking after the house as much because she looks after the big house upstairs. So I don't know, but I don't know. Achilles has got a sweet gig in the House of Hades. He might be pining over a previous lover a little bit. Similar story with Patroclus, really. Orpheus just sort of sits there and sings songs. Just hopefully he doesn't sing about you, and if you have any troubles, hopefully he doesn't sing about them. Eurydice, not in the best part of the underworld, but she cooks lots of nice food. Asterius, he's at the head of Elysium, however, he's quite devoted to Theseus, whether it's good for him or not, and that's going to get really frustrating for you if you're wanting to look after your partner. I don't know, it's similar to Symphony, but you could probably be able to communicate with her easier. Meg is the best of the Fury sisters because she has a similar job to them, however, she's also allowed into the House of Hades. It's good, it's good. Thanatos, not a particularly enviable job, just making sure people die. Not that's not particularly fun, but you're pretty high up in the underworld, so there. Hypnos is similar to Thanatos. They often work together. Charon is slightly higher than those ones because he can go anywhere in the underworld, and he's got a respectable job. You know, he's here. Cerberus, also in the House of Hades. It's a good thing to be in the House of Hades because it's the best place to be if you're dead. In the underworld, that's a good place to be. There are better places to be, but there isn't much choice in terms of being in the underworld or the live world. You can't really be in the live world very regularly at all anymore. And there is also Olympus. But anyway, Cerberus, loyal is good. Probably stick with you. He's a prince, lord of the underworld. It's good. He's the king of Elysium or whatever. He's the top boy in Elysium, which gives him a lot of cred. He's up there. He's in the sevens. Now we get on to the Olympians. Olympus is obviously going to be the best place you could be. Unfortunately, Ares, whose job is to deal with war, which is not the most fun of jobs, so that puts him as the bottom Olympian, but he's still pretty high at 7. Hermes resides in Olympus, I believe. He tends to be going around quite a lot, so you may not see him as much. That's my reasoning for why putting him here. Artemis, hunting may not be your thing. Hunting may be your thing. It may not be your thing. She's obsessed with it. Persephone has a nice house. Don't matter. Again, Olympus. Olympus is a great place. And she can control the seasons, seeing spring, summer, or whatever, just having bits and bobs from all different seasons. That'd be lovely. Oh, it's good. She's up here. She's in the 8. She's here. She's up there. Aphrodite, her whole thing is love. So that's a good thing. Athena, she's wise. And wisdom is good to have. And last 9, Dionysus. He's a party boy. He's a party boy in Olympus. That's gonna be fun. That'll be fun. And the top 3, Poseidon. He's one of the top blokes in Olympus. He also has control over the water and everything, the whole sea life. Number 2, Hades. He's the head of his own domain, head of the underworld. That's a pretty good thing to have. Top dog on where you are. And number 1, he's big old top dog everywhere. He's up there. So yeah, he's going to be in the 10s as well. That's it. That's all ranked. That's everything. That's the future ranked. That's all the things which you need. I think we should get all the results for everything which we've got so far and compile it and see who comes out on top and see if we've got anywhere near what we want. Who is the hottest of the lottest? Let's work out who's at the top. Yeah. So I've got it. I've got the results. I will show. For the moment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the top 5. And the reason why I'm doing the top 5 as opposed to just the top 3 is because there's actually some interesting results. In 5th position with. Remember, this is out of 45. In 5th position. 5th is Dionysus. It's a good option. He's a good god. He's had a bit of a rough past. He's fun. He's good to be around with the score of 30.5. It's not a bad score. It's not a bad score. That's a pretty good score, right? But now it starts to get interesting because in 3rd, tied 3rd. Oh, tied 3rd. We've got 2. We've got these 2. Zagreus and Eurydice, 31 out of 45. It was close. It's very close. But they're good. They're good. I'll probably write their names. That's pretty good. They're pretty good options so far. But here's the most interesting thing. There's also tied first. Is that good? I don't know. Well, actually, it is, because it gives you options. Because in tied first is Megan Thanatos, all with 32 out of 45, and that's the result. I feel like that's a pretty good result. You've got quite a decent mix there, different types of people, if it's who you're into and whatever. And Megan Than being at the top, that makes sense. They're both attractive. They've got jobs which are not particularly enviable, but they're there. That's it, right? We don't need to do any more. That's us figured out. I think, actually, you know what's funny? I think I figured out the formula. Hang on a sec. Remember this is the top score. I'm gonna, there. So, let's take these off. What we've done is we've looked at what they look like, the personality, the past, the present, and the future. So these are the 5 factors, I think, which goes into what makes people interested in one another. The 5 factors of attraction. Have the looks, that's the first thing you spot, but that's what Tinder works off. Then you have the personality. This is when you've already picked someone up and you want to have a conversation. This is number 2, where you see, do you want to go on a date with them? Does this matter? If you're just doing Tinder and you're just sort of just going in for just relations, then you maybe don't care about that, but maybe you do. So this is sort of like relationship stage. It could be a long one, it could be a short one, who knows? And the last thing you find out is this, how they act, their actions are what define maybe long-term significant other. That's how it is. That's how you find out who is your person that you want to spend your time with, whether it is just for this or maybe just a relationship of some sort. You might be able to build up a relationship at some sort. You need this for the long-term significant other. Maybe one of these at some point becomes less important. Maybe you can forgive. You might not care for looks. The personality, you need to really get on with someone, but like maybe for your own benefit. If they're not good in the present, you might be like able to see them as they truly are. So maybe their personality is good, but just at the present, they might be going through something. And in the future, maybe you just don't care about that. Maybe that's not important to you. Maybe you're a bit of a romantic. Maybe if you don't care about that, you're a romantic. I think I might have figured out the 5 factors of relationships, There's something else which you have to consider, which I haven't really talked about at all when it comes to Hades, or this, which is probably the most important one. Maybe there are 6 factors. And should I go back and look at them? No, because this was about ranking them and just for a bit of fun. Anyway, I'm going to put everyone them in order so you can see their scores and what they got. Now look, this isn't necessarily to do with favourite characters. For example, Dusa shouldn't be that low. I really like Dusa, but in terms of this is just kind of like hotness, and everyone in this game is pretty hot. They're pretty hot. So, you know. Anyway, I often play this game on Twitch. This is a quick Twitch plug because I probably will make another video of similar sorts, not necessarily to do with Hades, but just something. I have ideas, but yeah. But if you can leave a like, that'd be grand. Anyway, that's it. That's the end of the video. Thank you for watching.